guys, today we're going to be making Mang, but as you've noticed, we're going to be making him without his little mask. I just thought it was going to be a lot cuter. I know he's always with his mask, but I just love him without his mask. So we're going to make him, and we're going to, or at least I'm going to make it match my other tapestries of the BT21 line friends. They are all up in my channel, and I'm just going to make him 33 by 37. He is currently 29 by 37, and I'm actually going to sacrifice one of the little rows on the top, and I'm going to add a border, a solid color border on here as our foundation row. And the reason being is because I could easily, well, not easily, we could change the colors here on top, but we're going to be using a Tunisian simple stitch, which is by far the most superior stitch to make tapestries as detailed as this one. So we're just going to add a little solid color row here as our first row. And for that, we're going to add 4 more columns on each side, because as I said, is currently 29 by 37, and I'm just going to add 4 columns in total, 2 on each side, and for a total of 33 chains. And once we have our 33 chains chained, we're just going to turn our work and we're going to work onto the back side of our project. We're going to skip this very first bump. This very first bump corresponds to this very first stitch, and this stitch counts as one. So we're going to go straight to the second one. We're going to insert our hook onto that little bumpy right there, and we're going to yarn over and pull. Again, we're going to insert our hook onto that bump, and we're going to continue and do this motion all the way down our row. This is just going to be our foundation row, so that's why I wanted it to be a solid color. I do need to mention that I'm using a Tunisian crochet hook. You can get away with using your regular crochet hook if you tape a little piece of, I don't know, pencil. Also, like, it doesn't have to be firm, so you can actually tape a little piece of yarn onto the inside of your crochet hook. The reason being is because Tunisian simple stitch is actually just like knitting, so you're gonna have to need your stitches in your crochet hook all at once. And I mean, your regular crochet hook is pretty small, so if you're willing to invest on a crochet hook, go for it. Or you can always, you know, like I said, add a little pencil or a little string of yarn to have all of your stitches together all at once. So now with all of our stitches in our hook, we're going to do a return pass. So Tunisian simple stitch has a forwards and a backwards within one row. So we're going to start our return pass. We're going to chain 1 onto the very last stitch, and we're going to grab our yarn and pull through 2 of our stitches, and we're going to do that again and again, pulling through pairs or through 2 all the way down our row. For our very next row, which is our second row, or in this case in our pattern will be our first row. I do apologize for the confusion, but our first row in our pattern, our second row in our project, if you're following me. So we're going to count, each square counts as a square, right? We're using this background color, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3. And we're going to insert our hook, and this is going to be our repeat for the rest of our project. Our last row was going to be our foundation, and it's going to be a little bit different from the rest of our project. We're going to insert our hook only onto those front loops of our previous row, and we're going to yarn over and pull. and that's going to be our repeat, and we're going to count this stitch as one. So one more yellow stitch, and there we have it. We're going to introduce our black for our very next stitch. We're just going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of yarning over with our background, we're going to yarn over with our black. We have yet another color introduction, which is going to be this lilac-y color for his body, which I think it matches so very nicely that I had all of these colors in my stash. It was just a miracle. And we're going to do 2 stitches. So again, exactly like we've been doing, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull with our new color. Again, we're going to yarn over and pull for 2 purple stitches. And now we have our next stitch, which is black. So we're just going to drop our purple, pick up our black, and we're just going to pull it to this other side underneath the purple, and we're just going to yarn it, and that's how it should be looking like. The rest, 1 2 3 4 5 6 stitches are going to be purple, so we're going to pick up our purple and we're going to do 6 stitches. I'm going to get another piece of black yarn just for this middle part. As you can see, I just don't want this wasted black yarn to go from all the way over here to all the way over here. So I'm just going to use another cake of yarn for this middle part. We're going to do 3, we can continue with our purple as is, because you know those 3 stitches don't really do or create a lot of waste, so that's good. And yes, I am going to introduce another cake of yarn for this little piece right here to avoid any waste that I might create. I do have to mention that I actually made a mistake, but essentially the same rule applies that I just show you, because I actually went for the real pattern instead of going with the actual adjustments that I made, which is I added 2 rows right here, and I didn't account for them. So that's fine. I mean, it happens all the time. I frog, and I'm willing to bet that you guys also frog many things, but I'm just going to undo this first row, and I'll meet you back for our return pass for this second row. So now, after a very painful 5 minutes of undoing and redoing my first row, essentially the middle part is the same thing, right? But in either side we're supposed to, or at least since my pattern change, we're supposed to have 5 yellow stitches on either side. And we're going to do a return pass. We're going to chain 1 onto the very last stitch. Chaining 1 onto the very last stitch is essential for every row. We're gonna grab our yarn and pull through 2 of our stitches, pulling through 2. We're gonna pull through 2 and pull through 2 again until we reach this scenario right here. So whenever you have 2 different color stitches in your hook, you always use that second color stitch to pull through your stitches. So we're going to drop this yellow color. We're going to pick up our black, and we're going to yarn over through that yellow and through that black stitch. just like so. Again, same rule applies. If you have two different color stitches in your hook, you always use that second color stitch to pull through. So now we're going to drop our black and pick up our purple. And we're going to yarn over through that black and through that very first purple stitch, just like so. Same rule applies, but since we have the same color stitch, so we just continue with the same color yarn. Now we do our switch right here. We're gonna grab our black and pull through that purple and that black stitch. Another color change. We go through that purple and that black, and we move forwards, pulling through two always. And now we do our color switch of that black. And we just continue to do our color change all the way down our row. And it should be looking just like this. These two rows essentially are your foundations. That's all you need to know for Tunisian simple stitch. As a matter of fact, this is what I leave the tutorial. You can do the rest by yourself. Each square corresponds to a stitch. I've now show you how to introduce a color, how to change colors, how to do your return pass, and how to change colors accordingly. And now you're left with this beautiful thing. I know it doesn't look like much, but trust me, if you trust the process and you move forwards and your project look just like this one, you get a beautiful tapestry. I do apologize, it is not a full tutorial, but as always, I'll leave you with a time lapse of how I make this beautiful tapestry. I will leave the Pinterest pin down below in the description, and somewhere in the screen I'll leave the actual pattern without modifications, so you can add or remove as many stitches or as many rows or columns as you like. And yeah, so you got the essentials. You can do this. Happy crocheting and good luck.